Hola. One of the most challenging things in Spanish is the use of the different past tenses. Here, we will try to simplify that a little bit so it makes sense for all our students. Today, we will focus on one of the three main past tenses every student should know, the present perfect, or in Spanish, Pretérito Perfecto Compuesto. An example of that is I have eaten, yo he comido. If we analyze what is behind the name, we will find that pretérito is just a fancy word for past. In fact, all past tenses are called pretéritos. Perfecto only means that the action we are talking about is finished, as opposed to an action that it is still developing. For instance, I have eaten, the action here is finished. However, if I say I was eaten, the action is still developing, although in the past. Compuesto means that the verb has two parts. If it had only one, it would be called simple. To form this tense, first we need an auxiliary verb. An auxiliary verb is a verb that in itself has no real meaning. Examples of these in English are will, would, should, and also have. They need another verb after them to have a proper meaning. For instance, I will go or I would go. Will and would are the auxiliary verb, whereas go is the main verb. The auxiliary is telling us that the action to go is in the future or in conditional tense. And the same with the present perfect. I have eaten. Have here has its normal meaning of possession. It is an auxiliary verb, meaning that the action of eating is in the past. To form the pretérito perfecto compuesto, or compuesto to shorten it, we need the Spanish auxiliary verb haber. Yo he, tú has, él, ella, usted ha, nosotros hemos, vosotros habéis, and ellos o ustedes han. Remember that haber in itself, when it is conjugated, has not a proper meaning. We need a second part, and that second part is the participle. After the auxiliary verb, we need this participle. In Spanish, the participle is the verb ending in either ado, ado, or ido, ido. If we have an infinitive ended in ar, ar, the participle is ado. For instance, hablar, hablado, to speak, spoken, or estudiar, to study, estudiado, studied. If the verb is ending in er or ir, the participle is ido, as in comer, to eat, comido, eaten, or vivir, to live, vivido, lived. Just a note to remind you that this is different to the ANDO, ANDO, or IENDO, IENDO, which is the gerund and in English is equivalent to the ing form. So hablando is different to hablado, and estudiando is different to estudiado. They are very similar and can be tricky. Here we have the full conjugation of hablar. Yo he hablado, tú has hablado, él, ella, usted ha hablado, nosotros hemos hablado, vosotros habéis hablado, ustedes han hablado, ellos han hablado. And here, comer. Yo he comido, tú has comido, él o ella ha comido, nosotros hemos comido, vosotros habéis comido, ustedes han comido, and ellos han comido. If we want to translate the sentence, I have studied Spanish before, we will have yo he estudiado español antes, where yo is the subject, he is the auxiliary verb, and estudiado is the participle, and then español antes, Spanish before. Have you eaten already? This question is translated as ¿has comido ya? Or alternatively, you can say, ¿Ya has comido? Here, we are dropping the pronoun. As you know, you don't necessarily need to use the pronouns in Spanish when conjugating verbs, at least not all the time. I have lived in Madrid all my life. He vivido en Madrid toda mi vida. So again, here we're dropping the pronoun. You can use yo, or you can drop it. And then he vivido en Madrid toda mi vida is the translation for I have lived in Madrid all my life. The good news is that we only conjugate the auxiliary verb, not the participle, estudiado o vivido, for instance. In fact, the participle never changes and is not affected by masculine or feminine, singular or plural. For instance, él ha hablado is not different to ella ha hablado, masculine and feminine. And the plural does not affect the participle either. Nosotras hemos hablado. The other good news is that we have fewer irregulars than in the present tense, and all in all, they are not very complicated, as they all end in either to or cho. Let's see some examples of that. Escribir, to write, escrito, written. Poner, to put, puesto, put. Volver, to come back or to return, vuelto, returned. Romper, to break, roto, broken. Ver, to see, visto, seen. And the ones ending in cho, as in hacer, to do, hecho, done, or decir, to say, dicho, said. The things that we need to remember here is that we conjugate only haber, not the participle, so yo he, tu has, el ha, and so on. The participle never changes. It doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine, singular or plural. And the irregulars that we have are either ending in to or cho. We hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, give us a like, and thank you very much. Muchas gracias.